Missy Howard, and thank you for tuning into the Trucker Barbie channel. I received a question recently, and it was, why did you become a truck driver, and how did you become a truck driver? And I'm assuming that they asked me this question because perhaps I do not fit the typical description of what a truck driver is. And I understand that. I know that I don't, and I'm okay with it. But I got into truck driving because a few years ago I went through a divorce. And the divorce put me in a very bad financial situation. And the wolf was at the door and the bills were piling in. And even though I had 3 years of college previously and also some vocational and technical training on top of that, those fields that I studied, I couldn't get right into something and start making the money that I needed to make right away. And so I was driving down the road one day and saw a billboard, and it was of a female sitting in a truck. And so I thought, maybe, just maybe, I could be a truck driver. And I hadn't really given any thought to the fact that I was a female or anything like that, because I just felt like, I think I can do it. I think I can do whatever I set my mind to. And I had heard that truck drivers made decent money. And so I started researching training programs, and I ran across Prime. And so I went to Prime, and I trained for about 5 weeks. And at the end of training, they did an evaluation and decided that I wasn't ready to test, and they wanted to send me home. And they told me that I would probably do better in a program that was not on the job training, a private school. And so I took their advice, and I went to a private school when I got home. And when I got there, it was a lot different, because they start at like 8 in the morning and they let out about 5 or 6 in the afternoon. And there's like 4 students in a truck, and each one of them gets to take turns for an hour, take turns driving. And then they go back to the yard and pick up 4 more drivers. And then the ones that had started out, finish the day by doing backing practice. And so, because of the divorce and everything, I wasn't able to really be successful at Prime. It was just taking up too much of my mind. I was just really too upset to be in an on-the-job training program. I just couldn't set aside my personal problems as hard as I tried, and I did try. Trucking school, you have to be 100% there. Okay, you've got to be all in. You can't be distracted by personal problems in the way that I was. And I just wasn't able to set it aside in order to be successful in a training program such as what Prime offers, which is on-the-job training, over-the-road training. I did do much better in a private school. It was just what I needed, because at one point, a lot of students were really close to the end, and they were getting ready for their test, and so they were on the road more. And so there were days when I was the only person at the yard, and there were 3 trucks on the yard. One of them was set up for the straight back, the other for the 90, and the other for the offset. And this trucking school, the yard was gravel and mud. The trucks were caked with mud on the inside. They were filthy. And there were cassette decks in these trucks. They were so old. And it was July and August, the hottest part of the year. No air conditioning in these trucks whatsoever. Okay? And I was there all day, usually by myself. And I was free to just practice backing all day long. So I just said to myself, I'm going to take advantage of this situation. I'm going to back till I puke, and then I'm going to back some more. And so that's what I did. And so at the end of the training, I was ready to test, and I got my Class A CDL pretty quickly after I finished the training program. And then I went to total transportation in Mississippi, and they taught me something called the 45-degree back, which I'd never heard of before. It's not on the test, but I learned that it's the most common back. And they tested me out. They actually awarded me with a solo truck. And then that day, somebody called me with a cargo van job offer. And I decided to take the cargo van job offer because it just seemed interesting to me. And I did the cargo van for 6 months. There are a lot of things about cargo van driving that, you know, the average person just doesn't think about. It's unregulated, so there's not like a sleep break or anything really to speak of, except maybe a 4 or 5 hour period. I learned a lot about expediting, and I learned a lot about just trucking and cargo van driving and just about the business in general. It was an invaluable experience. I had the pleasure of having a very good cargo van owner that I was driving for, and I learned a lot from him, and it was overall a pretty good experience. The only thing about it for me was the sleep issue. I couldn't get that straight. And so then somebody called me and they wanted to team with me in a straight truck. And I was like, well, I could try that. So I've been teaming in straight trucks ever since. For the most part, it's been good. There have been bad times, like if I had a really horrible team driver or something like that. But I have just found that the Class B truck is just enough truck for me. It really is. And I like it really well. It's been my favorite job so far. It's been the best paying job overall that I've had so far. I'm not going to say that the business doesn't fluctuate, and I'm not going to say that, you know, it's made me a millionaire or anything like that, but it's a decent living, and it's actually a pretty easy job. At least I find it easy. Some people say, oh, it's a hard job, and I'm like, to me, trucking is not hard. Okay? There's just things you have to know and things you have to remember, and you have to keep your head on a swivel, and you have to get your rest, and you have to be alert when you drive, and you have to make good decisions when you're driving, and so on. And but trucking for me is not hard. And so, you know, and I found that for some reason a lot of people approach me who are in Class A trucks, and they want to know about Class B expediting, and I tell them about it. And you know, sometimes they leave their Class A job once they hear about the money and this, that, and the other, and they're like, well, that's what I'm making in a tractor trailer, and I wouldn't have to work so hard in a straight truck. And that's kind of the conclusion I came to also, is you know, I could make about the same money and be in an easier truck to deal with, and just have less to deal with. And it's also physically easier for me. And so I became a truck driver because I was in a financial emergency, and I needed a way to make money, and I needed a way to train very quickly and get into the money very quickly. And so for the most part, that has worked for me. You know, I became a trucker, of course, like everybody else does. Most people go through a training program like Prime or whatever, and then, like I said, I failed at that program. I'm sorry I did, because my head was just in a weird place. And, you know, trucking is not fake it till you make it, okay? It's something you can either do or not do, okay? It's really like that. And so I found the pre-trip to be really easy, but of course, like I said, I had the 3 years of college before, and so I was used to, you know, I knew how to study, and I knew how to memorize and all that, you know, and so, you know, college and all that helped me when it came to things like studying for the pre-trip, and of course studying for the permit exam and all that. And so, oh, actually, I created a pre-trip, no, I'm sorry, a permit study course for people who are trying to get their Class A. And the link will be below this video if you know somebody who's trying to get their permit. It's a free course, and I used to be a cosmetology instructor. I used to be, I taught, and so I took my teaching skills and I put them to work and created this study course for people that are trying to get a permit. So like I said, the link to the permit course is under the video. But anyway, that's why I became a truck driver. That's how I became a truck driver. Not very many people end up having to go to 2 different schools to get their license, but like I said, trucking is something that I really shouldn't have gone to an on-the-job training program with everything on my mind that I had at the time, divorce and all that. It was just a really ugly, sad, terrible time for me. But I'm all over that now, and I'm happily married. I have the best husband that I could possibly find. You know what they say, the third time is the charm, and it sure has been in my case. His name's Jesse, and he is a wonderful, wonderful person, and just the best husband in the world I could hope for, and very, very supportive of my trucking career. He is not a truck driver, but he's very supportive of what I do, and he does everything that he can to help me, and I really appreciate him for that. But anyway, I hope I answered those questions that I received, and if you have any more, just send them to me, otrteamdrivermatch@gmail.com. That's OTR, like over the road, otrteamdrivermatch@gmail.com. Y'all have a great day and safe travels. Bye-bye.